This is KGW News at noon.
More than 1 million Americans are under evacuation orders as Hurricane Dorian slowly moves toward Florida. This is a live look at Daytona Beach north of Orlando. Conditions are stormy with rain and wind and high waves crashing onto the beach. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Brenda Braxton. Dorian has weakened from a Category 3 to a Cat 2, but it remains powerful. We'll have more on its impact on the U.S. in just a minute. But first, we're getting a better look at the catastrophic damage in the Bahamas. Take a look at this video. Flooding submerged the international airport on Grand Bahama Island. Today, the International Red Cross said nearly every person on that island will need aid. Officials say 5 people have died and thousands of homes have been damaged or destroyed. Here's NBC's Jay Gray in Savannah, Georgia with the latest.
Hi there. Dorian beginning to move now, but very slowly at this point, expected to speed up just a bit as it targets the U.S. coast. Hurricane Dorian creeping slowly toward the U.S. coast now after more than 24 hours over the Bahamas. Violent wind, pounding rain.
This is deep ocean in our yard.
And an overwhelming storm surge leveling the island paradise.
It's as if we're fighting a war with the enemy having all the weapons at its disposal, and we have absolutely nothing. We're hopeless.
Coastal communities from Florida through the Carolinas now preparing for Dorian's next move. Boarding up, filling sandbags.
Mandatory evacuation.
Over 2 million mandatory evacuations already in place. Dozens of hospitals and nursing homes in the strike zone have moved patients to higher ground, while power crews are staged and ready to roll.
Our biggest concern at this point, since the storm is moving so slow, is that complacency will set in.
The latest forecast track shows Dorian shadowing the coast, no clear landfall.
I don't trust storms. I've been here my whole life, and I've seen them go different directions and surprise us.
A surprise that millions are hoping to avoid. It has been such an unpredictable storm, part of what is making things so difficult for millions wondering where Dorian may go next. In Savannah, I'm Jay Gray. Back to you now.
And meteorologist Rod Hill is tracking Dorian's path. Rod, the hurricane is getting larger.
Yeah, this is interesting. So let's take a look at this. Now, larger doesn't mean it's getting stronger. In fact, sometimes when these storms technically weaken, the vastness of them actually expands. So a couple things. Of course, here's the eye being shown on radar. It is finally starting to move north away from the Grand Bahama Island. So that is good news for those folks there. Here's a different color table, and I think you can see this. See it just kind of expand with these orange to red colors. So that's what's happening. Now, part of that leads to this map over here. The Hurricane Center now says that tropical storm force winds, which basically mean you're talking sustained winds nearing 40 miles per hour, are possible some 175 miles out from the center of the storm. So that is almost 3/4 across the Florida Peninsula. That's huge. Hurricane force winds, now you're talking about sustained winds around 70, 74 miles per hour, let's say. 60 miles out. Now, that's not quite getting to the Florida Panhandle, but it really illustrates for you the vastness of this storm's field. Now, here's the latest track. Right now, Category 2, 110 miles per hour. Here's the storm. Again, that's Grand Bahama Island, so it has moved north of that. Staying about 100 miles offshore from Daytona Beach in its position tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. So the track hasn't changed much, but the track is getting a little more close to actually being right over the South Carolina coast. Here's Charleston, Thursday, 8 o'clock, 110 mile per hour storms. Perhaps taking the track over the barrier islands of North Carolina up toward Cape Hatteras. Friday, it's still 100 miles per hour, and then perhaps not losing its category of being a hurricane until some point during the day Sunday as it pushes north of the United States. Wow. Right now, Brenda, I should tell you the heaviest wind and the heaviest rain projections for the U.S. are right around that South Carolina, the North Carolina area where the Hurricane Center is saying maybe 15 inches of rain in some of those spots.
Wow, hard to imagine. We appreciate the update, Rod. Thank you. If you're headed to the Oregon coast today, watch out for sneaker waves. They come ashore much farther than typical waves and can knock you off your feet or even wash you out to sea. You're advised to stay off rocks or logs that the waves can easily push around. Walmart says it'll stop selling ammunition for handguns. It's also asking customers not to openly carry firearms in its stores, even if state law allows it. The one exception is for law enforcement. The announcement comes exactly 1 month after a gunman killed 22 people at a Walmart in El Paso. We also have an update on the dive boat that caught fire off the California coast yesterday. This morning,
witnesses are still in
missing.
shock after seeing flames tear through a boat full of passengers. This chilling call for help heard over an emergency radio. The 75-foot diving vessel, the Conception, going up in flames early Monday morning off the coast of California's Channel Islands.
It's just horrendous. I mean, I can't imagine, those poor people out. It had to have been just a horror.
Bob Hansen had been sleeping aboard his boat, the Grape Escape, when he heard banging on the side of his hull.
I'm hearing somebody pounding on the boat and yelling. I open the door, and the 5 guys are there in their dinghy. They're asking me to help them, and their boat is just, 400 yards away, fully engulfed.
4 crew members and the captain of the Conception managed to escape the inferno, but underneath the deck were 33 passengers and another crew member believed to be asleep when the fire broke out.
Did they say anything about their passengers?
They said all of them were underneath. They told me then that there was another exit, but that exit was also blocked.
So there were two ways out.
Yeah.
But both of them were blocked
Both
by
of them were
flames?
blocked.
The boat's location made it difficult for responders to reach, the Coast Guard calling all boats nearby to help.
Any vessels in the area that can lend any assistance, please do so.
Could you guys hear anybody calling for help, or
No.
was it silent?
Silent.
Silent.
Except the sound of the fire.
The Coast Guard says prior inspections show the Conception in full compliance with safety regulations.
This is probably the worst case scenario you could possibly have.
Photos show the cramped sleeping quarters below deck.
I could see holes on, that there was fire on the other side of that window.
And that's where the people were?
Yeah. Yeah.
Gotti Schwartz, NBC News.
Another shooting in the Montevilla neighborhood in southeast Portland. Police say someone was shot on Main Street last night. We don't know the extent of their injuries. Our Tim Gordon reports that the victim is a young woman, but police have not confirmed that yet. Police also haven't released any information about a suspect. This is the 4th shooting in that neighborhood this week. Neighbors tell us it's scary.
Definitely unsettling when a car's going by slow now, thinking twice. Don't face away from the window for too long, just in case. So, you definitely go about your day a little bit differently.
Yeah, that's no way to live, right? Last night, neighbors say that they sent a letter to Mayor Ted Wheeler and Police Chief Danielle Outlaw blaming gang activity for the violence, and they are imploring police to add patrols in their area. We're hearing about another cougar sighting, this time near Corvallis. A jogger came close enough to the big cat that he kicked it before running away. Oregon wildlife officials say it happened in Dunn Forest on Saturday. Agents say the man was on a run when he noticed the cougar following him. He wasn't hurt, but experts say this encounter is unusual because typically cougars avoid humans. So far, the animal has not been found. Okay, this next story I gotta say is pretty gross. A woman says she found several cockroaches at a restaurant in Medford. Take a look at this cell phone video. You can see the roaches climbing on the wall right next to her table. Amber Long says she was with her relatives at Guadalajara Family Mexican Restaurant on Saturday when she spotted the roaches. Long says she and her family have been coming to this restaurant for years, and they were shocked and disturbed by what they saw.
My son was seated right next to the fish tank, and he was like, oh my God, there's roaches coming out of that piece of wood and the crack in the wall, Mom.
Long's family didn't stay for dinner, but she says she told the staff about the problem. The restaurant's manager didn't want to go on camera, but says this is the first time they've ever had an issue with roaches since they opened back in 1993. The manager also says they've hired an exterminator. According to public health records, the restaurant has passed every inspection since 2015. Some sad news for tourists on the Oregon coast. After 46 years, the Undersea Gardens in Newport is shutting its doors. Its Peoplequarium put visitors behind the glass and offered a unique view of marine life. Undersea Gardens put on its last dive show yesterday, but you can still visit for free until September 8th.